Hello everyone, welcome to Celestial, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be talking about Moon in the 7th house of your Navamsa, or otherwise called D9 chart. Now just some disclaimers. You would have to look at your Navamsa D9 chart as a whole. You have to look at your D1 or Lagna chart or birth chart as well. Very important. Aspects to the moon in the 7th house in your Navamsa, planets sitting with it, your Dharkarka, Venus, and overall 7th house condition is very important to look at as well. Now another very important disclaimer. I did mention this in the Sun in the 7th house of the Navamsa chart video as well, and I will be mentioning this in all the Navamsa videos. But I will not be talking about the color of the spouse's or long-term partner's skin. Nobody at Celestial will, as those who get consultations or readings from us know that we have a very strict rule in place. We will not tell you what the color of somebody's skin is going to be, just because of the world and the times that we're living in today. I'm very, very firm on this. A lot of people, a lot of individuals, a lot of wonderful people have to face a lot of discrimination and grief and suffering because of something that they can't control, such as the color of their skin. I understand that in certain cultures, communities, or even individual preference, this is something that they like to know about or they consider possibly when it comes to matchmaking. But unfortunately, the answer to that question that you have is just not going to be found with anyone at Celestial or in any of these videos. And I just wanted to say that up front. And again, I'll be saying that in all the Navamsa videos just because I don't want you to waste your time thinking I'm going to touch on it or anybody on Celestial is going to talk about it, because we never will. It's just something that we feel very strongly about and we're never going to get into. So I just wanted to offer you that transparency. With that being said, let's get into today's video about Moon in the 7th house of your D9 or Navamsa chart. Now, a quick summary about the 7th house. The 7th house in the Navamsa chart is, yes, going to talk about your spouse or long-term partner. And again, just for the sake of this video, I will be saying spouse and marriage, but that does also apply even if you don't want to get married and you have a live-in with your partner or your long-term partner. So just know whenever I'm saying marriage or spouse, this will also apply to you, even if you don't believe in marriage and don't want to get married in this life. So the 7th house in the Navamsa chart talks about the traits of your partner, but what I feel like not a lot of people get into, it talks about the traits most visible to other people that your partner has. So, for example, if you have, as in this video, Moon in the 7th house of your Navamsa chart, the moon-like traits and qualities of your partner are going to be the most visible, most public-facing. This is what people are going to recognize in your spouse very dominantly. And you could have Saturn or Mars or the Sun in the 8th house of your Navamsa, and that's going to be more so how your partner behaves with you, the more karmic theme of your marriage or long-term relationship. And of course, you have to look at your Dharkarka, Venus, 7th house ruler, and so on. So having your Moon in the 7th house of your Navamsa chart very often means that you're going to have a partner that is very mother-like or very nurturing with you or within the marriage, or again the long-term relationship. They could very much have a provider mentality, even if they're providing empathy and compassion and love and so on. You and your partner can be very deeply attached to one another. You would have to be very careful because this can often mean it's a codependent relationship, especially on an emotional level. The mother or mother-like figure or primary nurturing figure could have a big effect on this relationship or marriage. Now, in certain cultures, this can mean that this individual or you marry somebody or get into a long-term relationship with somebody that the mother has to approve of or the primary nurturing figure has to approve of. If you're located in an environment or you're just from a background where that is not something that is done, it's not custom or traditional, then it could be somebody that you kind of see mother-like qualities in, or you seek somebody that is very mother-like or very nurturing and could have a closeness to children. Now, if this moon in the 7th house of your Navamsa chart has very intense or malefic or difficult aspects, it could very well mean that you are going to work through your nurturing karma, or let's say you have some sort of pending karma with the mother. It's very likely that you're going to work through that in your relationship somehow. I'll give you an example of what I mean. So for example, if in your D1 Lagna main birth chart you have your moon in a difficult position with Pluto or Neptune, Uranus, Mars, your fourth house rulers in a difficult position, and so on, it often means that you have some sort of pending karma with the mother that you have to deal with in this life. Now, when that moon moves into the seventh house of your Navamsa, it very often means that if you were not able to work out that karma with your mother, with your D1 Lagna chart or in your primary years of growing up, it's very likely that karma is going to follow you into your relationship, and it's going to be present and you're going to have to work through it somehow in your relationship. Now, how you're going to have to work through it can depend on the sign your moon is in and aspects it's receiving, and Dara Karka as well. It could very well mean that maybe the mother comes and lives with you while you're married, or your mother falls sick after you get married, but there's going to be some sort of karma with the mother attached with the moon in the seventh house of the Navamsa chart. Now, your spouse or long-term partner can be somebody who is very emotional or very in tune with the feminine energy. They could be somebody who can be very moody. Sometimes you can feel like you're walking on eggshells around them. Or they can also be very touched by different things. These are people that have, the saying that they wear their heart on their sleeve. Well, this person might just have their heart on their forehead. Like, they very intensely, emotions are present. This is somebody who is usually very, very caring. Now, if it is negatively placed or has difficult aspects, it can mean somebody who's very manipulative, somebody who can kind of keep you hostage emotionally and spiritually. It could be somebody that you can have difficulty even relating with or connecting with because they prioritize their emotions so much and often above you and even the marriage or the long-term relationship. Often it's said that when you have your moon in the seventh house of the Navamsa chart or the D9 chart, that the quality, strength, and just overall well-being of your partner and your marriage or long-term commitment is vital for your well-being. Otherwise, you can often have a lot of difficulty, have a lot of grief after you commit to somebody in a very legal or serious sense. Now, this can also be somebody who is very sensual or somebody that you're, very sensual with. Just the, cuddling, holding hands, PDA, and so on can be very, very important when it comes to this relationship and just the overall health of it. Your partner could be somebody that's very sensitive or sentimental as well, so if you forget an anniversary or anything like that, they could take that very, very personally, and vice versa. So if your partner was to forget an anniversary or birthday, you would take that to your heart, you would take that very personally. Moon in the seventh house of the Navamsa chart people tend to have very high emotional expectations from whoever they're with. So it is likely that you expect this person to be a good parent down the line if you choose to have children in this life. And usually people who have moon in the seventh house do want to have children, do want to mother and have that kind of energy present in their life. So you could have very high standards for them in the sense that you want them to be the best parent, the best husband or wife or partner in other senses. This could be somebody that you really enjoy going through life with. You usually want somebody who is your very, very best friend with moon in the seventh house, but in a much more nurturing kind of way. Often people who have moon in the seventh house of the Navamsa chart tend to forget about everyone else when they enter into a relationship. So these are usually your people that once they are in a committed relationship or they have a partner, their life usually revolves around this partner for better or for worse. Now, in the best sense, it could be that you found a truly incredible person who is so kind to you, loving. You just want to spend and devote all your time to this person. In a more negative sense, it could be that this person is so difficult to navigate emotionally and spiritually and mentally, and they can have mood swings or be very manipulative that unfortunately for more harsh and difficult reasons all your energy and focus kind of goes into them and keeping things stable and balanced. Now, it's very likely, again, for better or for worse, that your long-term partner or spouse's mother, so your mother-in-law, has probably had a very strong influence on this individual and will probably have a very strong say on the marriage or long-term commitment as well. It's likely that your spouse or long-term partner is very close to their mother, for better or for worse. It can be very unhealthy and toxic, or it can be very balanced and pleasant as well. You can often spend a lot of time thinking about this individual. It's likely with Moon in the 7th house of the Navamsa chart that you dream of this person, or you at least try to visualize and daydream of what they will be like and what your life will be like after you're together. People will tend to see your marriage or relationship as very ideal or very sweet and charming and kind and loving and all of that. Now again, this would depend on the sign your moon is in and aspects it's receiving, but usually the marriage or the marriage partner is well received and people tend to approve of this marriage and relationship. Your long-term partner or spouse can easily get burnt out as well, so you would have to strike a very healthy balance of being together and enjoying each other's company and going through this life together, but also having space and time for yourself. A lot of grounding techniques are going to be beneficial for you and your partner, especially with Moon in the 7th house of the Navamsa chart. It'd really help if you took some time away from each other and did things for your own well-being, especially spiritually. Now, if there's difficult aspects to your moon, especially from a planet like Mars, or if Mars is sitting with your moon closely conjunct in the 7th house, it can indicate some difficulties when it comes to loyalty and commitment. Unfortunately, I just want to be transparent. So it could indicate somebody who is so sensual that they have difficulties being loyal or committed to just you. So there can be chances of affairs happening as well, or one of the partners straying and exploring their desires outside the marriage or commitment as well. Now, often having Moon in the 7th house of the Navamsa chart can mean that you want other people, especially people that are very close to you, to approve of this individual and relationship before further commitment or more serious commitment can be had. So often you can seek the approval of your mother or mother-like figure or other people that you hold close to your heart. Now, as the moon has different phases and it's constantly changing, your marriage or long-term commitment can also have these themes present. So some days can be really good, some days can be really bad. There can be difficulty with stability and grounding here. Unless the moon is in Taurus, which can offer you more grounding and stability because the moon is happiest in Taurus, it's exalted here. So again, you'd have to look at the sign this placement is in and aspects it's receiving as well. Sometimes I've seen that those who have Moon in the 7th house of the Navamsa chart end up marrying somebody or having a long-term commitment with somebody who already has a child. So this can involve you having to become a parent as soon as the commitment takes place in any way. Sometimes commitment means signing a legal document for marriage or doing a ceremony or even just moving in together. You'd have to look at the chart as a whole. So sometimes I've seen that somebody who has Moon in the 7th house of the Navamsa chart, again depending on sign and everything else, end up committing to somebody who has a child from a previous marriage or relationship. So as soon as you are committed to this person, you are also committed to becoming a parent, or you're automatically a parent as well. Now again, this doesn't necessarily mean that you will marry or commit to somebody that has a child from a previous kind of dynamic or connection. This could also mean that you end up having a marriage or a commitment with this person because if you are feminine energy, because you ended up getting pregnant. So because you got pregnant, that is what caused you to enter into a committed relationship with this individual, or you could get pregnant very quickly after the commitment or marriage as well. Now, if you have a planet like Uranus in the 7th house with the moon or aspecting the moon very strongly, this is going to be present even more so. So be very, very careful, of course, be safe, use protection, and so on. Now, having Moon in the 7th house of your Navamsa chart can also mean that you enter into a marriage or commitment very, very quickly. So please try your best to take your time. If you have good aspects from Saturn, this can actually significantly help with Moon in the 7th house of the Navamsa, especially if it's a trine or a sextile to some extent. If it's a square or opposition, that's going to create more difficulty. Opposition, of course, is like a teeter-totter, as I call it. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. There were often on playgrounds a teeter-totter, so it's kind of like a balancing act you have to figure out. So if you have Moon in the 7th house and it's opposite Saturn, meaning Saturn is in your 1st house of your Navamsa chart, it can mean that you or the partner wants a commitment but the other one is unsure. So it's constantly moods being changed when it comes to further commitment or a more serious commitment. Squares are just a lot of tension. So if you have a square with your moon, it's going to be more difficult. Of course, positive Jupiter aspects help. So again, you have to look at the chart as a whole. If Saturn trines your moon in the 7th house or even sextiles, this is going to bring in more grounding. So it's going to be beneficial for you, especially when it comes to commitment. Now, in a very positive aspect, having moon in the 7th house of your Navamsa chart can end up meaning that you end up with somebody, a partner, a spouse, that offers you the nourishment, love, compassion, empathy that you didn't receive growing up, either from the primary nurturing figure, mother, and so on. So it kind of can be a big karmic blessing. It can mean that the universe is granting you what you wanted through the spouse or partner, which is, of course, a very beautiful thing. If there's more difficult aspects, it could mean that your spouse is somebody that you have to almost baby or take care of, and they don't necessarily kind of step up when it's their turn, so they don't really offer you that same nurturing and empathy in return. So when you have moon in the 7th house, not only in your Navamsa chart more specifically, not only is it very important for you to look at your Navamsa and D1 chart as a whole, including Dharakaraka, but it becomes even more important for you to make sure you check synastry before you commit to somebody with moon in the 7th house of your Navamsa chart. Mental health and well-being and even spiritual well-being becomes very, very important for you. I mean, it's of course important for everyone. It should be everyone's priority to take care of themselves. But when you have moon in the 7th house of your Navamsa chart, it is even more important for you to make sure you're balanced. And again, you have grounding techniques for yourself and your partner. If it's severe affliction present, it can mean that your partner really struggles with their mental health. Something happens. Again, you have to look at the aspects it's receiving, and you can end up dedicating a good chunk of your marriage or relationship into helping them better their mental health. But again, be very, very clear on boundaries and make sure that there's not strong codependency present. Those are going to be two very, very important things for you to watch out for if you have moon in the 7th house of your Navamsa, is having clear boundaries, especially emotional and spiritual. Do not keep pouring into someone else's cup when your cup is empty. Make sure you take a step back and take care of yourself and do some grounding techniques. As they say, that people who genuinely love you and care about you are not going to take it personally. So please don't hesitate to take care of your mental well-being and your mental health. That's going to be very important for you to look out for. Be very aware of your attachment style when you get into relationships. You know, for example, there's secure attachment, there's avoidant, there's anxious attachment, and so on. So that might be really beneficial for you to look at. It might be really beneficial for you to look at your love language when you have moon in the 7th house of the Navamsa, so you really understand what it is that you seek on a very deep emotional level, so you can kind of call that into your life as well. So doing things like that might really help you prepare for this person. It might help you gain a better understanding of what it is that you truly seek. So please have clear boundaries. It's a very wonderful thing to want to spend your life with somebody, to grow old with somebody, which is also famous for people who have moon in the 7th house of their Navamsa, to have a lot of memories with the person that they love, to be very devoted, and to be almost completely absorbed by this individual. But please have very clear boundaries, have grounding techniques, spend some time with yourself and your other loved ones. Try your best not to get swept away by this person or this relationship or this marriage. Take care of yourself, have boundaries, watch for codependency. Take some time away and take care of yourself as well, and then you can come back together in a more healthy and stronger, and more importantly, in a safer way. When you have moon in the 7th house of your Navamsa chart, safety, inner safety at your heart level and at emotional level and a spiritual level become very, very important for you. So make sure you're with somebody that you feel safe with in every way whatsoever, somebody that gives you stability and security, not just in a physical sense, but for you it's going to be even more important in an emotional and spiritual sense. With that being said, I'm going to wrap. I hope you enjoyed my little video about moon in the 7th house of your Navamsa chart. I hope it was helpful to you. I hope it offered a different perspective. Thank you for spending this little chunk of time with me. I hope you're keeping well. I hope you're keeping safe. And until next time.